This episode of the Game Over Greggy show is brought to you by Squarespace. What else are you going to build a website on? A shoe? They let me write this ad, but they said I had to say, make your next move at Squarespace. So don't count on a shoe. Make your next move with Squarespace. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com/GameOverGreggy and enter the offer code GOG, G-O-G, to get 10% off your first purchase. You know about Squarespace, 24/7 support, award-winning templates, customer service all over the place. You got help, you got these things. Kindafunny.com, the original one, Nick built it with Squarespace. So don't count on a shoe. Make your next move with Squarespace by going to squarespace.com/GameOverGreggy, entering the offer code GOG, and getting 10% off your first purchase. Now, ninja moves. Oh my God. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry. It's okay. It's okay. Andy,
hey,
what's your topic?
Saturday Night Live is my topic. Talking about the best eras of... Why am I talking
I don't know. Wow, you went up into a register and couldn't get out.
Why did you write gum on the page?
Well, because I'm still feeling like... I don't know if I want to talk about gum yet. Like, rank the best gums. I want to... Because I want to get into Trident Layers being, like, one of the best eras of gum. Right, like that.
Sure.
Era.
It changed shit.
Trident Layers was kind of like, I don't know. I see Trident Layers as like Kanye West, like very controversial,
very similar.
They're doing weird stuff, but it's changing the game.
Who is the what's the other gum called? Five.
So
Stride?
so Five's very interesting marketing campaign.
Yeah, because their ads
boosted
are
them. Yeah, it's
crazy.
definitely boosted them.
Their
But
gum,
What
It's
about
a-
Denty Nice? Nothing's colder than ice.
yeah, you're right. But I do
topic, though.
feel like that was kind of false advertising because there's a lot of stuff colder than ice.
Is Juicy Fruit still around?
Juicy Fruit, very, very. I feel like here's what. This is gonna be a deep cut for Greg. Greg
you.
might be the only one who understands this. I feel like I'm Mel Kiper, and you're bringing up college players, and I'm talking about how they're gonna get into the draft.
Yeah, okay.
Juicy Fruit got a lot of promise. Gonna be a high draft pick.
My sources say.
Yeah. Juicy
Juicy
Fruit.
Fruit.
Juicy Fruit is whoa. Okay. So no. I get fuck Juicy Fruit in the stick form.
Yeah.
Juicy Fruit in the new Bubblicious form.
What? Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, the form of like, the five
little balls?
the pack of 5 little like blocks or whatever. Juicy Fruit in that form.
Whoa. Bubblicious.
You know, like the Bubblicious, Bubblicious.
What's the one in the tape form?
Bubble tape.
Is that just bubble tape?
Yeah, it's bubble tape.
Yeah. Bubblicious is like the 5 pack of like little blocks, right?
Are they blocks or balls? Am I thinking of
They're
something?
blocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you
They
come
look like
down?
Whoppers. No, not Whoppers.
No.
They look like Bonkers. Remember that candy? Bonkers?
Yeah, I remember
Stoppers?
Bonkers.
Okay, we're old.
I
Bonkers
don't.
was great.
Remember Gushers? Is that still a thing?
Gushers
Yeah.
still
God,
fruit snacks.
Gushers
Yeah.
will never not
But
be a
back to
thing.
my topic of Saturday Night Live.
Sure. Best
Talk about-
era.
Yeah, I mean, just eras that you think were the best. So I have up here like a little website.
Oh, good.
The original cast
Okay.
was from 1975 to 1980, and that featured Aykroyd, Belushi, Chevy Chase,
Gilda
Gilda Radner, right?
Awesome.
Before we go into this, I'd rather just call out my era so you understand how hardcore I am.
Yes.
I was the Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Kevin Nealon.
Oof, that's a
Okay.
good era.
That Dana Carvey.
That's
you know what I
great.
mean?
Is that Mike Myers?
Yeah, Mike
Yeah,
Myers is
that
in
was
it
a
too.
great
Dennis Miller
era.
was doing all
the
that stuff.
sophomore humor era is what they're calling it. The Hartman Carvey era.
Okay,
I'd say
okay.
that. Yeah, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Lovitz.
Yeah.
John
Before you even
Yeah.
read the names, what are the eras?
Yeah, give us the
Okay.
eras. This is
The original
fascinating to me.
cast moves on to Eddie Murphy era, which Eddie Murphy is essentially what saved Saturday Night Live. Hired Guns era, Billy Crystal, Christopher Guest. The year it almost came crashing down is what they call it, that era. Al Franken, John Lovitz, Anthony Michael Hall. Anthony Michael Hall is thought of as like one of the worst. Saturday
Anthony
Night Live.
Michael Hall was on Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live?
Yeah, it was
like
bad.
as a regular
As
player?
a regular, yeah.
No shit. His agent fucked that up, didn't he?
Dennis Miller, Randy Quaid were also on that as well. The Hartman Carvey era, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Lovitz, we just mentioned that. Sophomore,
Jan Hooks?
The sophomore humor era. Yeah, Jane Hooks, 13, yeah.
Jan.
Oh, Jan Hooks. God damn it, I'm so annoyed because right now my phone has like text select. Okay.
It's almost like you should have an iPhone.
Shut up.
Yeah, but then you can't do that stupid thing where you go, I'm trying to fucking picture the text.
The sophomore humor era, which is
You know what I'm talking about, too.
one of
It's
probably
dumb.
one of my favorite eras. Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, Mike Myers, Adam
Good-
Sandler,
good era.
Rob Schneider. It's just nonstop.
That's a great
hits.
one.
That's the
That's
one of
great.
my
Bringing
that
the
I think
hits.
of
Chris
my
Rock,
youth.
David Spade. My favorite era, though, is the next one, which is the Will Ferrell era, which is Will Ferrell, Jim Brewer, Anna Gasteyer, Chris Kattan, Tim Meadows, Sherry O'Terry. remember
Sherry
that name?
O'Terry, one of the
O'Terry.
cheerleaders.
Yeah,
Fuck
Colin
yeah.
Quinn when he was on the Daily Show. Or no, not
Weekend
the Daily
Update.
Show. Weekend Update.
Honestly,
right.
one of the worst weekend. I like
Yeah.
Colin Quinn a lot. One of the worst. He just was not
agree.
meant to do that.
Molly Shannon, Tracy Morgan. Into another really, really good era, which is the Tina Fey head writer era.
Oh, yeah. That was a good
When
era.
it was Tracy Morgan, Maya Rudolph, Seth Meyers, Chris Kattan, Amy Poehler. Fallon was
Yeah.
featured prominently there. After that is the digital shorts era.
Which is now, right?
No, it ended around 2012.
This is the Andy Samberg era.
Yeah,
The
Fred
Lonely Island
Armisen,
Boys.
Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, Amy
Yeah.
Poehler, Seth Meyers, Andy Samberg, Sudeikis.
It's a good era. That's a good era.
I feel like Kenan Thompson's been on the show now
Forever.
So here's
74
the thing.
years.
I feel like he's only when I think
Since
about
the
it, I'm like,
start.
oh, Kenan Thompson, he just got his start on Saturday Night Live. Like he's from Good Burger. Like he's been on there for 3 years maybe, but no, it's been like 12 years now.
yeah,
or
he's
something
coming up on
that.
like one of the longest running cast members.
Right. Yeah.
insane.
That is also a fucking phenomenal era. And then they
No,
call
that
it-
era sucked.
What really?
That's the
The
here's.
digital shorts era?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go through all the eras and we'll start talking about them?
Sure.
I'll do it how
Okay.
you want to play, but I gotta throw that out
They're
there
calling
right
this
there.
the Armisen Hader Sudeikis era, which is like very long-winded, and it's only 2 years long. They're kind of breaking it up, I guess, because they're looking at this post Andy Samberg, Fred Armisen, Bill Hader, Sudeikis, Taron Killam. This is where it starts getting pretty weak, in my opinion. Jay Farrow was on there doing his impressions, and
He was really
He was
good at Eddie
killing
Murphy.
it for a while there
Yeah,
without
yeah.
Jay-Z, though.
The final era is the Kate McKinnon era.
The most recent.
That's
era.
the
Yeah,
most
that's
recent.
McKinnon, Kenan Thompson, Cecily Strong, Leslie Jones, Kyle Mooney, Bobby Moynihan, etc.
etc. etc.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you. There's many things to talk about. I was a huge Saturday Night Live fan.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main reasons is of why this is and why I feel like I know so much about older seasons is that Comedy Central used to have them, and they would show like 7 or 8 a day.
Yeah.
And it would be that thing of being at Grandma Miller's, or it's just summer vacation. I'm there chilling out. I'm at my house or whatever. You just have it on, and it would just be on nonstop. So that's where I feel like I know so much of the Phil Hartman era, the John Lovitz era, all these different things. And it might be rose tinted glasses, but
Goggles.
I
Goggles.
feel like, sorry, my apologies. it's a very regional term. I feel like maybe I wasn't watching as hard as I am, or with a critical enough eye. I feel like those guys were so committed to the show and acting and doing it and not using it necessarily as a stepping stone and not thinking about what came next.
Wait,
that
which era is this?
the Hartman, the Hartman era, even Sandler's era, even
Hartman
like
Carver.
I'm
Okay,
ta-
okay,
I'm-
okay.
and I this is just where I'm most versed. You know, the Adam
Yeah.
Sandler, this whole thing. But like the era where I said no, they suck. Jason Sudeikis, I love. Everyone's name you read there, I love. And most of the actors on there now, I think, are great actors or great at the performances. The problem that I can't fucking stand is when I used to watch the reruns on Comedy Central, it would be I'm talking to you, and you're the guest for the week, and you, Tim, as the guest, would look off, and you'd clearly be reading off cue cards.
Yeah.
But the person talking to you, whose job it is to be on fucking Saturday Night Live, knew their goddamn lines. And now whenever I watch Saturday Night Live, I can't get over the fact that everyone is reading off cue cards. No one has their shit memorized. And it's for me, it's such an immersion breaking thing of watching two people, like me and Tim are supposed to be talking to each other, but we're both off a quarter turn. And you know it so they can read off something. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like it breaks the whole thing for me.
Yeah, see, I don't think I've ever really sat and watched, like, with the intent of, hey, I'm going to watch Saturday Night Live tonight. My touchstone for Saturday Night Live has always been the compilations.
Yep.
So you see the best of
best of
us.
the best.
And so for the longest time, I'm like, this is the funniest fucking show you've ever seen in your life,
When
right?
those were on-
Because
when
it's
they were on
every...
E?
Yeah,
Right,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know where
They
it
would
was.
always show them on E a lot.
That's when everything went to hell. When those guys got when those guys got the rights. That was the big thing. Is Comedy Central lost the rights and it went to E and /MTV VH1. That those people Viacom, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
I don't remember. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I know they moved over to one of those cable networks, and then they did the thing where they were peppering them out. There's gonna be like one a day, one a night, or whatever, and they started doing compilations. Shit. So it just eroded what it was. Where I felt invested in Saturday Night Live because I watched so much of it, and then suddenly I wasn't watching any of it.
Just like you know all the Cosby Show episodes.
It's very true. God, that last week's episode was really good.
No, so I mean, for the longest time, I thought that was sort of Saturday Night Live when you'd watch the best of Eddie Murphy and you'd see just that snippet of, Gumby, damn it, or the Mr. Rogers neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you'd see those and you'd be like, oh my god, that's hilarious, but you'd only see the 30 seconds of it. Like I remember you'd watch like the best Chevy Chase and he'd have like I'm not a shark, ma'am. I'm just a dolphin. Oh, okay. And she'd open the door and get eaten.
Land shark.
But then you go back and watch those skits and you're like, why are these so fucking long?
Oh, old Saturday Night Live
so
stuff.
long.
Dan Aykroyd and like John Belushi and all that shit. Like there's comedic moments in there that are great.
Yeah,
but it literally
they're
was
just-
like, here's a 15-minute bit of them talking. It was
Or
just, like,
when
awkward.
Aykroyd would do the cooking one where I've cut the chickens out of my thing, like that shit went on forever.
Yeah.
So I love that
Belushi
era.
as the ninja or whatever, who would stab himself and like threaten to kill himself, and they'd like talk him down.
or Belushi as Buzz. Remember that?
Yeah.
I love those things. I think there's such a romanticized. That's such a romantic time though for me to look back and like there's a great documentary and I can't remember. I've recommended it before to you guys. I can't remember what it is, but it's an actual documentary about National Lampoons.
Oh, yeah.
The title is like Fat, Sick, Dead, Nearly Whatever. But it talks about how Lampoons was supposed to be that show. So if you're not familiar, you're familiar with Lampoons, right?
Yeah. I started watching
magazine.
this. I can't remember if I finished it.
So was a magazine, very popular, did crazy shit. And NBC, I think, called them as NBC, whoever, what was NBC Saturday Night Live,
NBC
right?
Saturday Night
Said,
Live.
hey, we want to make this into a show. And they were like, cool, but we don't really want to do that. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. And that ended up being Lorne Michael came in and ended up making that Saturday Night Live and stole all these characters from the Lampoon's radio show. So he stole Belushi, Chevy Chase, all these people, and they went over.
So he
and
stole
did
the
it.
performers.
Basically stole the performers,
Yeah.
sorry. But in doing so, de facto stole the show. But it's so cool to watch all those guys. Yeah, this is it. Drunk, stoned, brilliant, dead.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sick, Fat, and Nearly Dead.
No, I totally mixed those two up, but you're right. Those but it's such a cool time because nothing like that had ever
Thanks, Kevin.
been like that. Like no one had ever like had that concept of doing live comedy like that.
Sure.
And those guys were truly fucking talented, twisted individuals.
Sure.
Like you look back at early Chevy Chase and early Belushi, and you're like, those dudes were like cutting edge stuff.
Even Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, genius. Eddie Murphy at the time. You talk about the Eddie Murphy era and how it saved it. Like going back and looking at that guy and just seeing him, that's a star. You're like, wow, this guy has something special. And I think SNL is obviously still good at finding those people. But like to me, so I love that original era. I think to me the Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, the Wayne's World era is probably the one that sticks out most because I loved everything that spun out of that. You know, like I loved the Phil Hartman era because I loved Phil Hartman, not from Saturday Night Live, but I love that he was so popular. He got on news radio, and I loved the news radio.
Yeah, news radio was great.
I loved the Wayne's World movies. I stomached Night
Adam
at the Roxbury,
Sandler.
which I guess was later. That was the Will Ferrell. But the Adam Sandler era where everything he did came out of that. And you say they were real performers. All of them did use it as a stepping stone, but I think you're right. I think you saw that.
I think that was the point. Is that, I'm again. This could totally be that I should, if I went back and watched this now again with the same mindset that I would see David Spade and everybody else reading off cue cards.
Sure, probably.
But I just feel like they were more in it. Whereas now I think it is the fact that people are doing so many movies. I remember being a big deal that you were leaving SNL or you were doing a movie,
Right.
and it was like you felt like these people were coming up and doing something. Whereas now everybody on SNL does a million movies.
Well, you
let
also-
alone like Ghostbusters, like the entire SNL cast just wanted to make Ghostbusters and came back.
That's true. But you also, I think now is probably the best time for SNL.
No fucking way.
I do. Dude, last year,
Stupid.
all the shit they did last year with the elections was that is one of the only times in a year straight that I remember almost every week coming in and having someone be like, you got to watch this clip from Saturday Night Live. You got to watch.
That's a good point.
You got to watch Alec Baldwin and
Melissa McCarthy.
no, the other one.
Well, she did Spicer.
Kate
I guess that's
McKinnon.
more
You got to
recent.
watch Alec Baldwin and Kate McKinnon do Trump versus Hillary Clinton, and that shit was so fucking funny and super important too because and they're still going after him. It's a brand new era as far as SNL and what they can do to actually change the opinion of mainstream population.
Well, I mean, that's why SNL, I think they were always the best at that. When I think of like great SNL bits, it usually comes back to an election coverage. You know what
I think of
mean?
Will Ferrell as George Bush.
See, and I think of Phil Hartman as Bill Clinton.
Yeah, was it
It
Clinton?
was Bill
That's
Clinton.
right.
Remember, there was that awesome one. It was so early on that I don't think so many people probably missed it or aren't in the demographic. But right at this is like a deep cut on President Clinton or whatever. But when he was jogging all the time, but he was still fat, and people were like, "How is this possible?" And there was this great like campaign stop thing where he jogged on in and he came into a McDonald's.
Oh,
and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
explaining his whole thing. He's like, "Well, this egg McMuffin." He's like walking around taking people's food and eating it while explaining his tax plan while he's on a jog away from Hillary. It was great.
But they would do that shit. Remember the original person who did that, I think, was Chevy Chase when he was making fun of Carter or Ford. Was it Ford? Or Carter?
I thought it was
Ford because Ford, I guess, I know that I wasn't even alive when Ford was president, but Ford, I guess, would trip every once in a while, and so that was the whole point.
Which became Chevy Chase's thing, and then he hurt himself a bunch of times.
Yeah,
classic.
It's just ridiculous.
Classic Chevy Chase.
I know exactly what you're gonna say though.
Well, no, I mean, for me, Saturday Night Live is nothing but musical performances and just clips that I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, I've never watched a full episode, I don't think, ever. That might not be true. I think I watched the 40th anniversary 2 years ago.
After
I
they came back to it, yeah.
Yeah, I watched that. But besides that, I've never watched it. I think that I'm just a little too young and there was too much other stuff going on that I just never really globbed onto it. Obviously, I love Wayne's World and I love the things that came out of it, but I never really understood that came.
See, I think this is another thing
else.
too. Your fractured view of it, right? Because you grew up with so much more to do, is one of the things I feel like why I feel like the quality is down from the performances and the way that they don't need SNL to be a star anymore, right? As soon as they're on SNL, they start getting more Twitter followers. They can make their jokes there. They can promote what they're going to do. They're working on this movie. They're doing stand-up. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like SNL, from what I thought of it back in the day, was like, we're in fucking rehearsals all the time and we want to come out. Like, Jan Hooks wasn't off doing a million fucking things. She was there to fucking crush it and, move on.
Yeah, and especially obviously now with YouTube and all that stuff, it's interesting to see that I guess it was an era ago when a lot of the YouTubers that were more kind of actual improv comedy people making the transition over to be writers. So we saw Sarah Schneider, who was one of the head women from College Humor, make the jump over. She's still there as a writer. And then Noelle Wells, who was the lead actress in Master of None season 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was a cast member for a while, and then that didn't work out. Then there's the Nice Neighbor guys.
Kyle Mooney. Is that Kyle Mooney?
Yeah.
He does well on that show now. And he's also on Community, I want to say. What else was he on?
He's off, right?
I think he did some bits on another show, but it doesn't
so
matter. Parks and Rec, maybe.
that stuff all happened. But it's like, yeah, for me, I grew up with all that on Nickelodeon, which was the kids' SNL, and I have very fond memories of that. And Keenan, obviously.
I guess I had both. Yeah, I grew up
I had
with all
both.
that as well.
It's interesting. I don't know, because for me, it went from all that, and then it went pretty much straight to Mad TV. Because it was just like Mad TV felt like Mad TV,
the renegade show.
To be like an 8-year-old, it was just like, oh, this is all that, but like the Spencer's Gifts version.
Was In Living Color way before your time?
Way before.
No, so the reason why I started watching In Living Color quite a bit because my brother was really into it, and that's when like that. My brother's 5 years older than me, so that's watching Jim Carrey as Fireman Bill and the Wayans brothers. Holy fuck! Like the Wayans brothers.
Hated it.
Yeah, dude. Like they were so incredible, man.
So Scary Movie was my first touchdown to them.
See,
I think it's because I don't have an older brother.
See, that was my thing. Without having an older sibling, I remember In Living Color I was too young for it, where it was like, it was intimidating. You know what I mean? They were talking about, they were being way more, not crass, but adult.
It was edgier.
SNL was. You know what I mean?
And
SNL was always
now.
a big deal. We have a sleepover. We went camping all the time, right? In the RV and stuff. And like I'd bring friends and like to stay up to watch SNL, right? It felt like you achieved a goal of hitting 10:30.
I mean, that's funny because we would do that. Like Kevin and I would watch Mad TV on weekends and watch Stewart and all that stuff. And that was definitely a thing. Like we're not supposed to be up this late.
After Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Hell yeah. And we just did it. But for me, the easy answer is the Lonely Island.
Yeah,
stuff.
you love that. I
love Lonely Island, and like I didn't care that it came from SNL, and that's not why I watched it or how I watched it.
Were you at IGN when they were doing like Dick in a Box and I'm on a boat and all that stuff?
No, it must have been after that.
Because I think that was because I think those were in the old Brisbane office.
I started at IGN in 2010, so
Matt might have been before.
I'm on a Boat came out before that.
Yeah.
You see, and that was another thing with when I'm talking about like not liking the newest class is that I thought those digital shorts outshined everything on SNL because they were produced and people put in the time and effort to make them awesome. Whereas these sketches are happening and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you?
Yeah, I feel like
what are you doing?
I feel like that was very interesting and also a fascinating era because they realized someone around there was like, we need to sort of shift tactics a little bit to things that can be a lot more shareable online. And those digital shorts were genius. Like seeing those, it's so fucking cool that Lorne Michael actually like saw those and was like, this is it. This is the future.
That was one with Natalie Portman, where
that
the black
was
and
the
white
first one,
right? Yeah, that was the first one.
What was it called? The Chronic. What Chronicles of Narnia?
We got the Chronic. What?
The Chronicles of Narnia one was the first one that really blew it up, and then it was
Chris Parnell.
Yeah, and then it was the Natalie Portman diss track thing.
Yeah,
dude. But Yeah, that's awesome. But I mean, that's what Saturday Night Live. That's what every late night show is now, right? Like, if you're being 100% honest, like I don't know how many people that. Yeah, I don't know a ton of people that watch the shows while they're happening. So but I do know people that will share them the next day when they're on YouTube. So
100%.
And that's cool. Did you ever, when you were growing up, did you ever think, hey, I want to be on SNL or Mad TV or any of those shows?
All that, absolutely, yeah. They did. All that had a casting thing, and I was fucking stoked about it. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to be. Did
you try out
that? No, I was super little.
Okay,
like I had no concept of what any of this meant.
25-year-olds, and then Tim, he's like 6. He's like, I'm on this shit.
Yeah,
I got this, dog.
Yeah, no, but I was like, I think I must have been like 7 or 8, and I was like, that one day I want to be like Josh on all that.
I had a couple friends that after Irvine moved to LA and tried to be groundlings. And that was
nice.
It was always fascinating to me. For whatever reason, I just looked at that life and I was like,
Groundlings?
A groundling is
so
Groundling, Upright Citizens Brigade, and Second City are the three improv, the
I
three
only
big
know
improv.
UCB.
Yeah, UCB groundlings are. I don't know if they're bigger or not now, but when I was growing up, everyone would talk about the groundlings because I think that's where a lot of the current cast members came from.
Yeah, Polar
Second
did
City,
something
she
else.
Will
was
Ferrell and all them.
Polar, I think, was
She
UCB.
was Upright Citizen Brigade. I
Yeah.
thought she had Groundling connection too.
No,
but yeah, Second City was like is the Chicago's company or
Yeah.
whatever, and that was like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
But I just remember thinking, like, for whatever reason, I remember looking at that, and my friends would tell me how freaking hard it was to like advance through the ranks because you have to like
Sure.
pay for classes, and then you have to audition for the shows and keep going, and then eventually you get to like the night shows. And I was like, that just sounds like so much fucking work.
I had a friend. He's still my friend. I had a friend from Mizzou though that after graduation ended up he decided he wanted to do Second City and went and did Second City, and he did Second City for a long time.
Yeah.
And did a whole bunch of different shows and different stuff, but like eventually just went to LA and is working down there now trying to make it happen.
I think but that's I have so much like that's so inspiring to me. Even
100%.
people that go and do it and just try it and don't. Like it didn't work out for
they
them.
didn't get to SNL.
Yeah, they didn't get the tryout. Or they didn't get the audition.
They're still
It's-
traveling around doing shows.
You know,
It's awesome.
and last time I was down in LA, I went and saw Tournament of Nerds, I think is what it's called, which is an Upright Citizens Brigade show. Max Landis was one of the judges on it. And I just looked at these guys and I'm like, you guys are fucking putting the work in, man. These guys are so fucking funny, and honing that particular craft is hard. Because, I mean, now that I've done just a little taste of stand-up, I can't even fucking imagine what it might be. Like, you can rehearse a routine for a year and then go up and do it, and people are like, that's funny, and you have a lot of time. But improv is like, it's improv.
Yeah.
You can't really go back to that bit that worked last week. It's kind of it's not exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So kudos to those guys.
Remember that Office where Michael does improv? He whispers in that person's ear. They stopped the scene. Like, what did he say? He said he's got a gun.
Yeah, that's a good episode. I didn't talk about my favorite era.
What's your favorite era?
I'd say my favorite era would be it's less of the era, more of the characters for me. So the two, like my favorite two cast members ever
Mango.
are Mango. Wow,
Which one's
that's a deep cut.
Chris Kattan.
Oh, Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan always seemed to be like the kind of guy. He's like the Rob
He was
Schneider,
the
right?
sidekick. He
Where
was
you
the
were just
David
like,
Spade to everybody.
oh man, Chris Kattan.
Yeah.
You're holding up the whole show is just on his shoulders. You know what I mean?
I'd say so for me, I would watch skits and they were funny or whatever, but when Chris Farley or Will Ferrell were on a skit, like they made the skit funny.
Mm-hmm.
They could have replaced them with somebody else and it would not have been anywhere close as good.
No, yeah.
They're just so talented. And so like Will Ferrell, I think the Will Ferrell era is probably my favorite era. With Ferrell and Kattan and
Interesting.
And then after that I'd probably go Farley with Adam Sandler, Mike Myers.
Schmidt's gay.
Was Austin Powers from SNL?
No,
No,
that was
a
after
character
Mike
he did
Myers
after,
left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Toonces the driving cat.
Toonces the cat
yeah.
was hilarious.
He drives around all over the town. He's Toonces the driving
Wasn't there a
cat.
Laser Cats too?
That was Andy Samberg. Yeah, that thing. Toonces was just an old like bit on green or not even green
Yeah.
screen probably, but
I just
just
see
a
his
stupid
hands.
cat. They're like, man, this cat drives really well for being a cat. I know, and then eventually just drives off the same
every
cliff.
time. God damn, that
Kev.
shit was funny.
Do you have anything with SNL?
No, I mean I always caught the like Comedy Central stuff, but it was always like Comedy Central. I feel like did a really good job of mixing all a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really enjoyed all of what I saw. I don't have a favorite. I mean, Chris Farley I think is the easiest one to be like. When he was doing it, shit was amazing.
Yeah,
But
he just had it.
Whenever these things get ranked on fucking like BuzzFeed or whatever, it's always like Will Ferrell and Chris Farley. and it's hard to argue with that shit. I think Adam Sandler is up there as well.
Have you seen Will Ferrell's audition for Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, it's so good.
Have you guys seen this? I'm not even going to try to fucking do it.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys afterward. It is the funniest fucking thing you've ever seen. And it's so perfect for him and as an audition, because I guess you have to do 2 to 3 different bits, like characters, and he's so fucking good.
One of them, he plays a boss who says, can you hold all my calls? Thank you. And so the secretary holds his calls, and then he proceeds to play with a yarn as if he's a cat.
Don't spoil it. we'll show you guys afterwards.
Okay.
Honestly,
After.
everyone out there watching, you've got... Throw this fucking show away.
No!
And Google that right now. It's hilarious. Put that up on YouTube.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it.
Nice.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Hey, good looking. Click here to subscribe to Kind of Funny. Click here to go to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Support us there. $1, you can watch the show live. Click here to watch other Game Over Greggy show videos. I looked right at the light. And you can go right down here and go see Kind of Funny Games, because we have a bunch of cool stuff there, like a new gaming daily show. Until then, Ninja Roll.